Hey, morning everybody. My future son-in-law Anthony expressed some interest in learning how to forge, and right away everybody wants to I want to forge the sword from Conan the Barbarian. But I'm not saying it's not possible, but you have to learn some of the fundamentals first. And so when I was first starting out, somebody told me a long time ago, the best exercise to learn forge control, hammer control, is to make nails. So that's what we're going to do this introductory episode. See if Anthony likes it, and we'll talk about some of the tools real briefly, and we'll get into making a couple nails, because at the end of the day, after you've made nails, you have nails, and you can always use a nail. I'm going to use the tools that I have. Now, it's important to know that these tools were accumulated over 35 years of doing this. And I got into blacksmithing right when it was the golden age. Tools were cheap. An anvil was $1 a pound. Actually, my dad got into it. He paid, I'm going to show you another anvil. We paid $1 a pound for it back in the day. But I'm going to talk just briefly about my anvil. It's very special to me. So this is a South German style anvil, but it's actually an Ozark pattern. So the Ozark pattern anvil was developed by a man named Tom Clark. And if you want, you can look in here, pull in a little tighter shot. I'll show you the markings on the anvil, which are unique. So this Ozark pattern anvil, and it's really cool, it even says Ozark pattern, and it was made by Tom Clark, he's passed away, but he was real instrumental in bringing Uri Hoffe and the Haberman style of forging to the United States. But he developed this particular anvil, and it's got a lot of really nice features. I don't know if they make it anymore, but the cool thing was it was made in 2003. And mine is number 46, so it's pretty neat. And also, when they were casting it, they cast your name in it, which is pretty cool. It's got it's German style. The hardy holes up here. It's got 3 different sized pritchel holes, a double horn. These are made to give the anvil mass and to upset things. They're like upsetting shelves that are also integrated in the anvil. Also, he developed this anvil stand, which is really unique. I'm going to just really briefly show you another more common type of anvil, basically a London pattern anvil. Okay, this is the other type of anvil. All this stuff I'm extremely fortunate and grateful. I remember my dad and I got this from up near Toledo when I was a little kid. It weighs nearly 500 pounds. It's a Peter Wright, and it's what's called the London pattern anvil. So that you have your pritchel hole here and the hardy hole here. It serves the same feature. One thing that's really interesting about the story with this anvil was they notched this cutting face out because it was used in the Toledo roundhouse to forge railroad spikes. So I'll just take a picture of that. That's what the story goes from the gentleman that got it. And back in the day, I think we paid $1 a pound for it, which was great. Good luck with that nowadays. So this is the forge I use. It's a propane forge. The design comes from a gentleman named Ryan Johnson, who makes different tactical tomahawks, and he also makes reproduction tomahawks. This was his design that he brought to John Campbell Folk School, and so I adapted it. And it works really great. It'll get up to forge welding temperature. This one could also be used. It's a Whisper Light by NC Tool Company. It's called the Venturi. So the pressurized gas comes in this way and it causes a Venturi, and that mixes with oxygen and heats it up. This one has a blower, so it mixes the oxygen in here or the atmosphere in here and forces it down that tube, so it gets to a lot hotter. And I have it lined with kale wool. It's got a fire brick floor, and then I put Satanite refractory cement on there. It's like a high temp refractory. We're doing a basic project today, and when you're starting out, you don't have any ability to make tongs because you're just starting out. They're not that hard to build, but you need something to hold the hot metal, and the something needs to hold it really well. If you can't, you could start out with a pair of vice grips, but you really actually need good tongs. Even if you got a set of 1/4 inch tongs and just use 1/4 inch like square round stock, that would be way better, and you'll find a great deal of success. You need absolutely a way to hold the metal that's hot so that it won't burn you. If you don't have a decent way to do it, you're just going to get frustrated. So you will need to buy some tongs if you're starting out. And after you get into it, it's quite easy to build tongs and you no longer need to buy it. The other thing is the hammer. I use this Hoffy style hammer for forging like this. I use all kinds of different hammers. I use a rounding hammer if I'm making knives that a lot of farriers use, but I like this Hoffy hammer for general forging. It's basically a cross peen that's used to spread the metal out, and then it's got a face that's kind of dressed round. I've built a couple. These two are actually pretty cool because they're like original Hoffy hammers. And this one was from Big Blue. I had them custom make it. This one is about 3 pounds, 2 ounces. A good size to start out with is like 2 pounds 6. You don't want to get too big of a hammer right off the rip. This one's 2 pounds 8. You get them any size you want. I prefer the little heavier hammer, but I might use the middle grade for today. The other thing you'll need is a hot cut. This is a Hardy tool, fits in the Hardy, and we're gonna cut the metal off with that. The last thing I've built this is a nail head setter, so you'll need this for the project. There's tons of YouTube videos on how to make this, or if you didn't have one, just save your money and buy one, and then make nails. Use the money from selling the nails to pay for another one. That's a great thing about blacksmithing. So we're starting our parent material. I think it's 1/4 inch, it might be 5/16 square bar. What we're going to do is forge it out into a point, and then after it's forged out into a point, we're going to cut it off with the what's called the Hardy tool or hot cut, and then it's going to fit it about like this amount into our nail header, and we're going to upset this part into the head of the nail. So in order to do that, we're going to forge it. You can only forge really on 2 sides. The anvil would be opposing the hammer force, which would come from there. And so we're going to keep it square until we have the nice taper. So we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. You'll see me doing that. And we're going to just work it square, square, square until we have a nice taper. And then after that, you know, the taper will look something like this if you looked at it from the end. We're going to attack these. And the same thing, we're forging in this plane. So we're going to forge it into a rough hexagon, it's not the best hexagon, but yeah, you get the idea. And then after that, if we want to make it round, we can make it round, or we can leave it hexagon shaped, we could leave it square shaped, whatever you want to do. Round looks nice. A square shape might bite into the wood better, or a hexagon, whatever you want to do. It's your shop, your project. You can make the nails any way you want. Crack the line a little bit. it into a rough, you can see it was tapered square, and then I just upset the edges. Now this is mild steel, so you can continue to work on it after it's hot, if you, or cools down rather, if you want to refine it a little bit. Depends how much you want to do. Now, what I'm going to do, the next step is I want to figure out about how much of a nail I want. I might heat it up one more time and get a little longer taper, because that's going to be a very short nail. Like, it's pretty insane. Rotate it. Rotate it. So now I got about where I want it. Want about maybe like a ½ inch. I'm just gonna put a little mark on it. So I got a little mark with my hot cut. I'm gonna find it again. I'm just gonna emphasize it. Put it back in. This is very sharp, so I want to move this out of the way. I don't typically like leaving the hardy tool, especially the hot cut. It's pretty sharp. It's not like a knife, but it's pretty sharp, and if you like run it back your hand, you can get cut. So what I like to do is just be prepared for the next step. I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to cut it off real quick. With blacksmithing, you have to work really efficiently when the iron's hot. Otherwise, you're losing its malleable when it's malleable. Now, you can almost make this nail cold, but we're not going to do that. Like, we're going to use the heat and do it like you would. So, I got my iron in the fire. I'm going to set up for the next step. I got my tool here. Got my hammer like I want to grab it. I'm going to be real efficiently. I'm just going to bring it over here, grab the hammer, and cut it part way off. And you'll see. So same thing. Like if I rotate, I'm just going to work it so it's almost snaps off. Take my hardy tool or my nail header. I'm going to break this off, put this over here. I'm going to come over to my Pritchel hole. Needed more metal in there. It's not a very good nail. Just a point of something to bear in mind is when you're working blacksmithing, you want to wear a cotton wool is good. You want to avoid anything synthetic because, well, it'll be okay. We're not like doing any heavy forging, but you want to stick away from your nylon blends, or like the hoodie will probably be good, but you want to like cotton, natural fibers typically.
How's your confidence level?
You don't need to fill
Probably overly confident.
Like first hammer, not as easy as it looks, is it? Like, the first after 1,000 of these, it gets easier. You want to try to keep hammering in the same spot, and you're going to move Like in this case, you want to work on the tip. But yeah, that's pretty good. I mean,
How's your confidence level now?
hey, he's gonna get it. Hey.
Power of that.
Yeah, you can be. Yeah. So yeah, there's a couple different ways. It's my understanding from what I've read. Historically, an English smith would have like a longer hammer and work like this. I didn't point out, but because I don't like to make too many rules right off the rip if somebody's just starting, you can refine your technique. But the Haberman method, which was popularized by Uri Hoppe, you stand like this and you grip the hammer. If you grip the hammer tightly, eventually all this will cause damage up into your axillary bundle. What you want to do is grip the hammer real loosely, and all you're doing is lifting it up and bringing it down. And you're like not gripping the hammer. You can forge like this all day. Your hand won't get tired, it won't get cramped, because you're holding the hammer just tight enough to not let it fly out of your hand. And I didn't point that out because I don't like to, with newer people, I just like have fun, you know. We'll refine technique later, but there is a technique that will cause you to have a lot more longevity, and there's numerous videos on it. Uri Hoppe, Haberman technique. It's just a way that people do something, and I found it years ago, and I think I liked it. It made a lot of sense to me, so that's what I do. But in the beginning, it's not necessary really to like hammer those on people that are just starting out. Just have fun. What we're gonna do, we'll put it back in the fire. Try to work with just maybe just this, you know, like 1.5 inch or so. Just back, like that, a little bit, yeah. Give this apart. Yeah, the other thing.
This way.
Other way, yeah. There you go. Just lightly hit it to kind of see. Yeah, you got it. Like it's mild steel, so so it's still plenty hot. This is just a cake of beeswax. If you grab it like in the middle somewhere, we'll get the head. Believe it or not, this is where most of the time I get burned, is with the wax on there. Yeah.
What does the wax do?
It just like seals it, gives it a real quick finish, you know, nice natural finish,
Yeah.
makes it like dark. The other thing that's kind of interesting I'm observing, Anthony's a little taller than me. When you have your own personal anvil, the rule of thumb is it should be about like this. I'm setting, you know, I'm just standing next to it. You want your knuckle to like rest on it. If it's up too high, you won't get like a good swing. If it's down too low, you got to bend over and you'll hurt your back. So if Anthony was setting up his anvil, like, yeah, just see where I'm sure it's gonna be. Yeah, see, he's got his arm quite bent. You'd want it maybe up another inch taller, and that'd be better ergonomics, because you're gonna be doing, you know, if you're forging, you're gonna be maybe doing it for 3 or 4 hours. You want everything set up like to you personally, and that's a good rule of thumb. And you won't have to bend over. It won't be too far down. It won't be too high up where you don't really get a good swing. The other thing, we're forging small stuff, but the higher you can lift the hammer, we're not going to do this now, and bring it down, the more force you can generate. But before you do that, you need to develop like accuracy, and that's why building nails is a good way to get that. Like if you're starting out, like I say, if you build 10 of them a day, you know, or whenever you have time, your forging will improve. Especially you're going to cover the fundamentals of making a taper. So this was the first one I made, and I didn't have quite enough material. You kind of have to figure out how much material looks good, and then the one I made real quick, I got a little off-centered when I initially seated the head. That's okay though, because you know that could function as almost like a nice hook. Anthony's is pretty good. It's a nice long taper. You could pound that in the wall and hang your keys on it. Even it has like it's a little off. Stuff like that, you just have to like fine tune it, like do a few of them, and then once you get in the rhythm, then it'll be, you know, you'll get what you want and looks pleasing. We could have rounded this off. I kind of like some kind of hexagonal or square stock. It's nice to be able to see what the parent material was. It's kind of interesting. So the story about making nails, I was doing like teaching blacksmithing at a there was like an art center down in Cincinnati, and a guy, he had set up and he was doing like primitive chairs, and he had this really cool like old school split rail fence where the fence all supports itself and you don't need any posts. So he was saying that for his rustic furniture, he had like a lot of trouble finding handmade nails, and they were like kind of expensive and they weren't exactly what he wanted. So he was like, I need like 500 nails. And so we talked about a price, and but I was like, hey, instead of money, I'd like 75 feet of that cool fencing. And he was like, yeah, that sounds fair. So we shook on it and everything, and then I had to go back and make 500 freaking 2-inch nails for his rustic furniture. But it was it was like one of the best experiences. I would just, you know, do 50 a day, and like once you got into it, you could make these in like one heat, especially the 2-inch ones. They weren't very long. Like it was amazing how like repetition, and it made me better at forging. And so when anybody says, I want to make like a katana or whatever, I'm like, let's make a nail first, see how you do with that. And like it's not as easy as it looks, but it's not hard also. So hey, we're just finishing up, and this episode, by the way, was brought to you by Ryan Guy's Truth IPA. I'm just kidding, I wish it was. Maybe someday it will be.